This is Miss Lizzie, and I want to welcome you to the Queen Lizzie podcast. Together, we will go through the history of Rosewood, Florida, and watch as the once prosperous town rises out of the bloodshed, fire, and ash to reveal the people, the memory, and the legacy of Rosewood. Watch every Thursday on Facebook and YouTube, or listen to our story on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Hello, everybody. I am Lizzie Polly Robinson Brown Jenkins, representing not only the Rosewood Foundation, but the personal testimonies and history of cherished friends and family. You are now watching the Queen Lizzie podcast. Today, we're talking with Taylor McClain. Welcome, Taylor, to the Queen Lizzie podcast.
Hello. Like Miss Lizzie said, I am Taylor McClain. I am a student at Santa Fe, and I am just so thankful for this opportunity to interview you today.
And I am honored to have you here from Santa Fe College. As she just said, she's a student there. She is an excellent student at Santa Fe College. And she's my cousin. We go to the same church. And I have known her since birth. And I invited her to give her the opportunity to come in and just share this experience that so many young college students cannot get or do not have the opportunity to talk with or me or to be interviewed. But anyway, we're going to talk about Rosewood. She knows that I am a Rosewood descendant, and I just told you that she is my cousin. Therefore, she is a Rosewood descendant. She doesn't know as much as I know, so we're going to learn together today. Do you have any questions you would like to ask me about Rosewood to start with?
I heard that there is a Rosewood Museum in the works. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, there is a Rosewood Museum in the works, and we are going to build this museum in Archer, which is approximately 1 mile from where your grandparents live. Yes, so it's in the neighborhood. It's going to be good in the neighborhood. And what I'm going to do, and the reason I keep talking about this museum and getting it out there, because we're going to need people like you, okay, your siblings, your friends, classmates, cousins, to take this museum to the next level, because you know I am not old, I'm a senior citizen, but after me there will be others to make sure we are educated. So I call y'all the next generation to tell the story of Rosewood. Rosewood is an ugly history, however, we cannot erase it, okay? We cannot hide it. And I appreciate all of the people who have stepped forward to help us preserve this Rosewood history. And the museum is going to be named after my aunt, who was the Rosewood school teacher, Mahulda Gussie Brown Carrier Cultural Museum. But she was not from Rosewood. She was from Archer, the same place where we're going to put the museum. She grew up in Archer, and she's my mother's sister. So we have a lot of work to do with a lot of people. Okay, did I answer your question?
Yes, I'm so excited for this museum.
Okay.
The next question, I also heard about a cookbook coming
Yes, we are going to, in order for us to, well, not in order, but anyway, it's going to be an addition, a cookbook. We are going to put together a cookbook, and I need your recipe.
Oh, I can't cook.
I need your mom's recipe
Gotcha.
or your dad.
Oh, they can cook.
Yes, your dad can cook, right?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
I need a recipe from your family, from the McClain, so that we can add it to our cookbook, and we're going to sell this cookbook, okay, to make, to raise funds to help build our museum. In fact, our second meeting is tomorrow, and I'm excited too about the cookbook, because we're going to need lots of money. So I'm working hard daily to make sure we get enough funds to build the museum. We have already started. When I say started, we have already done the survey on the property, and we have done the mapping for the property. And we have renderings. Renderings are pictures of how the museum is going to look. So we are on the way to getting our fundraising going. And if you all would like to donate as I speak to the Rosewood Museum Foundation, go to my website, rosewoodflorida.com, spell Florida out, FLORIDA.com. And we welcome your participation.
Okay, that's so beautiful. Like I said, I'm so excited to see this museum. Okay, so my next question would be about your scholarship that you offer.
Yes, we do a scholarship, an annual scholarship of 5 scholarships, okay? And it's not very much, but it's better than nothing. And we do this scholarship in my aunt's name, who was a teacher, okay? And our scholarship is DEI. I like it because it's diverse and it represents who we are, people, okay? And we make sure, I try to the best of my ability, to give at least 2 white scholarships to 2 white students and to 3 blacks. It doesn't always work that way, but I try. And I make sure they are from Levy County because the massacre started in Levy County, and the majority of the people escaped to Alachua County. So we represent Levy and Alachua County with scholarships. Yes. Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes. And my mom has said to me about this Rosewood history, and the reason I work so hard to keep it alive is because her sister who was a teacher there, suffered the agony of defeat, and she said, "Baby, you cannot allow this history to vanish. You must tell it so that it will not repeat." And I let my mom know. I said, "Mom, it is so difficult, it's so painful, it's so hard to tell the story." She said, "Yes, but if Mama was younger, Mama would tell it herself." So that was like pressure on me. So I do it, and I do it for the people like you and other students that I don't know and that I do know, to make sure we keep this history alive. And yes, I do look at notes sometime, but that's okay too. The things that I don't talk about often, but I have worked hard to make sure the history is known and is noted for the future generations. So working through the state of Florida, Governor Bush was right there for me. Wasn't always there, but he came aboard when I told his staff that I needed a historical marker to let people know that Rosewood did happen. So they did funded a historical marker that is on the property today in Rosewood. And he was kind enough, he was the governor at the time, 2004, but he was kind enough to drive to Rosewood and dedicate the historical marker that still stands today as a state landmark. And I thought that was awesome. So I give that credit to my aunt, because had it not been for her and me working to make sure it happened, it would not have happened. I made sure she received the 2000 Great Floridian Award that says that you were one among the 2,000 Floridians that earned that plaque. And that plaque today hangs in Archer on the depot, which is now our historical society. It hangs there in recognition of her, and it's been there for 24 years, 25 years, untouched. And I think that's a plus, because the people see it, they take pictures of it, and they appreciate it. So that's what history is, just keeping that history alive. Yes, and I've done several books, I've done songs, and my mom said, if you are going to tell that story, you must sing a song. You must sing, and I know you can't sing, and she would always tell me, she said, but baby, mom is going to dictate this song, and she did. And the two most important verses I like, and I know that she appreciates, was the movie really didn't do justice for the whites that assisted the blacks in getting out of Rosewood alive. However, my mom put that in her song, and I like to share that. And people that listen to this story, my broadcast podcast every week, they say, well, she sang those same verses. Yes, those are the most important verses, because the way our people are today, so much hate is going on. I want them to understand that had it not been for the humanitarians back then in 1923, Rosewood, my people, the survivors that survived, the black people, would not have survived. So I let them know that the sheriff and the store owner and the Brights brothers had a lot to do with the safety of the people getting out of Rosewood alive. Okay, and it goes like this, you all. And what happened? The sheriff, when he discovered that he was outnumbered with the KKK, he decided to work hard with the store owner, his wife, and the train conductor, and beg them to help me. So mom said he worked 96 hours straight, going from Cedar Key to Rosewood to Sumner, begging people to please help him. Most of them said no. But anyway, he finally, after 96 hours, got the train conductors to agree to help him. And the verses that my mom wrote for that particular help strategy goes like this. The Cedar Key train conductors were told to pick up in Rosewood. Standing by the tracks with the lantern, its young school teacher stood, waiting in desperation to carry out the sheriff's plans, rounding up the hidden survivors to board the midnight train. The sheriff and the store owner worked around the clock, informed the train conductors just when and where to stop to pick up the men, women, and children who were hiding out and bring them to Archer, Florida, traveling the same old route. Bob Walker and John Wright took on a daring risk, put the survivors on the train, Lord, and sent them off with a kiss. Notified the Gainesville families to be on the lookout for their kin. Told them the train was a-coming and told them exactly when. And the message in there let people know that the train conductors had a train on the train, and they kept that train at in Cedar Key at the hub. They called it a railroad hub or train hub. But anyway, that's where all of the trains were kept. And John Wright, who owned the store, he and his wife in Rosewood, that was the commissary where all of the blacks that lived in Rosewood shopped and patronized him. So he got involved. Basically, he didn't have a choice, because the sheriff sent when they invaded Sumner from Rosewood, when Sumner came into Rosewood to kill the people in order to protect them, to kill the survivors, my aunt and all the rest of them. The sheriff sent them to John Wright's house, so he had to put them away, and he hid them in the store upstairs in his house or downstairs until the train arrived in Rosewood to pick them up. So do you have a question to ask about what happened in between then?
Are you still in contact with any of the remaining family?
Perfect question. Yes, I am. Perfect question. The train conductor, no, the sheriff, Levy County Sheriff Bob Walker. They fired him too because he helped black people escape. But I heard from his granddaughter. I got a Christmas card from her, and we're in touch with. I'm in touch with her often because she lives in Texas, and there's always either storms out there or fire. So we talk often. I check on her to see how she's doing, and when the weather's bad here, I'll get a message from her. How are you doing, Liz? Or she follow me on my Facebook too. So I'm planning on hosting an event for my aunt's birthday, and I would like for her to come and be a guest so people can see her. And I hear from the train conductors' grandchildren and great grandchildren that still live today in Bryceville because they were the Bryce brothers, but they were from Bryceville. So the town was named after that family, and they were a very powerful family. Their dad was a sawmill owner. He owned a sawmill, and when the people escaped from Rosewood to Brightsville, he gave them jobs, and he put them up in shanties, houses, until they could do better. And who was the other family? I also heard from the store merchant great grandniece, his wife married great grandnieces. They live in New York, and they have written a chapter to put in my book about their family with family tree and all. So yes, they are family, and they let me know, Miss Lizzie, Rosewood is our history too. We are descendants. We didn't survive, but we are descendants, and they keep in touch because they want to know how we are doing, and they are going to be a big part of my book and this history and Rosewood. Oh, by the way, the young ladies in the great grandnieces in Bryceville are collecting family portraits to go in the Rosewood Museum. They are going to donate some pictures from there. Okay?
Awesome.
All right, that's about time for our first half. We are going to head to a quick break, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
I am Black History.
I am Rosewood Black History.
I am Florida
and America's Black History, and you are too.
January 1st, 1923, the KKK insurrectionists attacked Rosewood, killing 5, burning it down.
Because a white woman lied and cried, a black man assaulted me. Rosewood redevelopment is on its way.
Want to help? Visit rosewoodflorida.com.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't: our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured,
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
and our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Welcome back to Queen Lizzie Podcast, brought to you weekly from the Steve Spurrier Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We are here with Taylor McClain. The Queen Lizzie Podcast is brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, live from the Meldon Law Gator Studios at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We are back with a bang, and we are back to thank our sponsors, the Campus USA Credit Union, Jerry Benton. Thank you, Jerry, very much. Steve Spurrier, Podcast Room. In fact, this is Meldon Law's Podcast Room in Steve Spurrier's building, right, the Gridiron Grill. And also we thank Freddie. What's Freddie's name? Weeby. Yep. Freddie Weeby. Everybody knows Freddie Weeby. He is a man to reckon with. Thank you, Freddie, for all you have done and you continue to do for the Real Rosewood Foundation and Miss Lizzie and Queen Lizzie and the foundation and the fundraising. We appreciate you all. Thank you all very much. And I know if I need to call on someone to help, I know who to call on. Freddie, Steve, Jeffrey, and Jerry Benton. Thank you all. And please, I'm talking to my audience now. On the weekend, there is always a weekend brunch on Saturday, Saturday and Sunday from 11 till 3. Thank you, Zach. Zach, you don't see him, but he keeps me on task. He's very helpful when I semi forget. He is there to supply the information that I need. Thank you, Zach. But as I said, just remember to patronize the people who protects history. And I tell people, this is Rosewood history. I tell people, this is my history, this is black history, this is white history, this is our history, this is American history, and we have all got to work together to keep history alive, because we are history. History is who we are, and without history, we're nothing. We don't have any stories to tell if we don't have any history. And thank you very much. I was talking with Taylor during the break about the museum, and Taylor, would you like to share with what you told me or a few minutes ago?
Yes, I was just saying how I'm so excited to see this museum. I would love to be a part of this to carry on Miss Lizzie's legacy, as well as just share all that I know and all that I will get to learn from taking part in the establishment of this museum.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And I want other people to listen to what she just said, what Taylor just shared with us, and I want you too to get involved. It's not about me. It's not about Taylor. It's about history, and we're going to, together, we can make history better. And the one thing I am searching for is justice, peace, healing, reconciliation. Okay, and when we build our museum, hopefully we will be able to resurrect the Rosewood School, the Rosewood shotgun houses, and the churches. It was a couple of churches. I understand, I don't know for sure, okay, but I have heard there were 2 churches, and there was a school, a Masonic building. I have lots of information about the Masons there. Their real names in the documents, y'all. 42 years of research I have done willingly and and some of them regretfully, because it's painful. But I am glad to be able to share this information to you and the people that don't know. I don't have a problem with you knowing. And something else I need to let you know, there are 6. There are 5 other Rosewood foundations of family members, and we were all in Rosewood together. But when the massacre started, we all went in different directions. Some of us walked out of there. Everybody didn't get on the train. Some of us walked through the swamp, and I was able to track down a family that I know for a fact that was in Rosewood in 1917, because my aunt lived with this particular family, Joe DeBose. I know she lived with them for 2 years before she got married, from 1917 to 1919 when she married her husband. And I know that family went to Guff Hammock, and in order to get to Guff Hammock, you had to go through the back way, through the mud, through the swamp, to get there any way that you possibly could, because 1942, I was able to locate the DeBoses in Guff Hammock. Guff Hammock, I don't know if I said it, 6 miles from Rosewood, and they walked through the back way. So my aunt was the principal in Guff Hammock in 1942, but she taught school in Rosewood in 1923. For her to leave her husband, she left her husband in Jacksonville, moved back home with us, and she needed a job because she was broke. So she asked my dad one morning to borrow his car. She wanted to go check on a job. Dad didn't ask her, where are you going? He just said, here are the keys. She went to Brunson. She knew the sheriff was still in Brunson. She didn't know where, but she went looking for him, and she found him under a tree. My mother said when the sheriff saw her after all of these years, he said to her very harshly, Gussie, what are you doing here? And she said, I understand there is a principal vacancy in Gulf Hammer, and I need a job because I'm broke. I don't have any money. He said, get in your car and get out of here. I'll be in touch with you. He was still afraid for her because he was afraid for himself. Remember I told you they fired him in 1925? They have never posted him as a Levy County sheriff, so she did exactly what he instructed her to do. Got in her car, came back to Archie. He said, you'll hear from me in a few days. In a few days, he hand-delivered a emergency contract to her that says principalship. Today, I have the carbon copy of that contract. That's going in my book. So, she was a principal. However, she taught also. And I found her roll book, and in that roll book, there was a guy named Alfonso DeBose, which was very strange. I said, well, yes, the DeBoses are connected to Roseville. And my pastor, we have a new pastor, and his last name is Greg DeBose. So I knew they were all related. So one day I told him, I said, Reverend DeBose, did you have people that lived in Rosewood by the name of Joe? He said, I think so. But when I told him about Alfonso DeBose, who was a student in 1942, he had a different attitude. Yes, I know Alfonso. That is my cousin. And he said, I think he is my uncle. But anyway, my pastor, I have labeled him as a Rosewood survivor because he was in Rosewood, his family was there, and he is connected. So like I have said to you, the challenge is out there, the history is there. So he is bringing all of his family into the Rosewood circle. Okay, is there anything else you would like to add? And she knows our pastor very well.
I just had one more question.
Okay.
So I know that you've already accomplished so much, but what resolutions do you plan to achieve, just in general?
I think the final one is going to be the museum. And after the museum, I have my board chair is interested in building a depot. Okay? Like a train depot. And by the way, let me back up. He's going to build the depot on our property that we own because a railroad track goes right between our property, the same as Highway 27. Okay, that is our property is divided by that highway. But on the other side of the railroad track is our property. And he suggested that we build a train depot on the other side of the railroad track. And then, I don't know what you call it, not a tunnel, the one that goes above a bridge, something like a bridge, so that we can get off. He's planning some train trips, okay? And once we exit the train, we will exit it on the south side, east side of the railroad track, and then we'll walk across to the Rosewood property and maybe have a cafe there. He has great big ideas, and he knows the people who are going to help him do this. And we want to also ask the contractors here in Alachua and Levy County, especially to build a shotgun house. And if we can get about 10 contractors to build a shotgun house, we will name that shotgun house, after them. And the reason we call them shotgun houses is because you can stand at the front door and shoot through the back door and never hit anybody because it's shotgun. It's a straight way from the front door to the back door. and that's what people lived in. I grew up in a shotgun house. However, it was bigger. We all did. It was bigger than what they owned in Rosewood. And another accomplishment, hopefully, I just said church, didn't I? Okay, and my board members have ideas that they are going to suggest, and they have already suggested that we make sure the community is totally involved, and we will have invite students from the school to come out and pet the animals. My husband, as we speak, have animals. We have goats, donkeys, chickens. We had a couple of ducks. We're going to get ducks so that we can have share a petting zoo for the kids, and hopefully we'll have buildings out there to for teachers to come out, bring their kids, and do workshops. And we'd like to do a theater. We would like to do a hotel. Our big idea is we have enough property to build a hotel that goes straight up. You don't need the width, you just need the height, and then put a theater in there so that you can run that theater, okay, and get us going. Be there to boss us around, not really boss us around, to be there as a director, advisor. And I know you can do it. And I'm looking forward to you helping. And I appreciate you so very much. Would you like to have a last word, a closing message?
I would just like to say thank you so much for having me. I feel like I am just much more enlightened on Rosewood and our family's history. And I just want to say thank you again for having me. This has been a pleasure.
You are welcome, and it has been an honor having you as my guest. Thank you very much. I am continuously humbled, honored, and blessed to meet people daily and invite them to join in peace building, healing, and reconciliation through learning about the history of Rosewood. That will wrap up today's episode. I am Queen Lizzie. Until next time, goodbye.